Hi, I'm going to review something that I never thought that I would be interested in, and that is horror. Role-playing folk horror. Uh, I encourage you to watch some videos and just type in on the YouTube what folk horror is about. Essentially, folk horror is The Wicker Man, uh, Witch, uh, Midsummer. These are bright. They're daytime horrors. They're not nighttime. This is not your Halloween or your or Friday the 13th. This isn't your camping kids at the lake. This is a very mature psychological horror. It's not a thriller, it's a horror. You find yourself in 70s, but it can easily be made into today. But I think the 70s captures a time that was just before everything was on cell phones and easy communications. You had to phone people and you had to hope that they picked up without knowing who was, there was no call display. The trauma in England of the 70s and even the 80s with Thatcher and the demise of the coal mines and the unions. There's a darkness over the land, and yet it is sunny and bright in a lot of ways. Sure, you can throw in the mist and you can throw in the darkness, but really, if you watch those type of movies, they are always kind of done. The horror takes place in the wide open with the horror being seen. It is there. And Solemn Vale does an absolutely beautiful job at captivating and encapsulating the essence of not only the time period, but also this Royston Vasey type of community from A League of Gentlemen. I think that's what it's called. But this is a community that it's a comedy, but in a lot of ways it's scary comedy. It's a very dark kind of, this is a local shop for local people, and so it's got this kind of, we are in the community and we are the community and we have our secrets, and you as the foreigner will never be a part and will never understand, and we will be pleasant with you and then we'll stab you in the back. As someone who's lived in small communities, as an outsider coming in for, say, a few number of years, one community being, say 3,000, another community being 350, and having one community that was 150, and then another community that was 800, but completely isolated. The only way in or out was by boat, and the next closest community was quite a ways away, no roads. So you either took a plane in or a boat in when you could, and you skidooed 100 kilometers to get from one community to the other community, and I did that with polar bears and wild hares and all sorts of stuff. I have a very colorful background. Anyway, so I know what it's like to live in a community that is very insular. They have all grown up together. The only people from outside are teachers, the priest, the, maybe possibly the medical staff, but if you have a clinic. But other than that, everybody else has been there for a couple of 100 years. So this is the type of atmosphere that Solemn Vale is going for. And I think that for anybody who's a city person, you need to experience, even if it's role-playing, this sense of alienation from a culture that is so foreign. That in itself is a horror and alienating. But here, the mechanics are so simple and yet beautiful. Now, I have bought the game. I've bought the game online before I even ordered it on BackerKit. So I am a late backer. I've spent 250 Canadian on it. I'm going to have to, I think, sell one of my children. But it is amazing. So much so that I decided, A, to buy the PDFs immediately after learning about the game. And they were expensive, to be perfectly honest. I don't think that they should be that expensive. But given the quality, I kind of don't regret it. And then spending so much money on so many of the products that they have just, to me, made absolute sense. And a lot of that is shipping, to be honest. So I'm very happy with this purchase. And I'm going to give you my impressions of the game. So here is the character sheet. Now I hope you're not getting glare. I'll try to angle it so that there's no glare. You got body, mind, soul. And you can scratch. You'll see that there's 2 squares next to it and you've got 2 circles. Well, you get a certain amount of points to spend. Now I'm not going to bother to go directly to that aspect. Maybe I will. To see how many points you actually have. Because I don't want to waste your time. But I guess I already have 15, so I was right. So you have 15 points to spend between the 3 abilities. So points being dice. You got 15 dice, and you're going to put those into body, mind, and soul. Body is obstruction, pursuit, and threat. You have to overcome an obstruction. It means force or something like that, so it's obstruction. Pursuit, body, obviously, running after somebody, something like that, and body, threat. And that would be, say, fighting. Mind is logic, obvious. Pressure. Wits. Wits being more like wisdom, I think, and logic being more like intelligence, if you want to put it in those terms. Soul is the other. And I think that, again, is very evocative of this folk horror genre. You've got foreboding, that tingle, that sense, this dis-ease. And then you've got invocation. And then you've got taint, one of the best words in the world. Taint. It's scary enough. It says here, and I'll quote, that soul deals with the spiritual and the occult challenges of foreboding, invocation, and taint. Soul is likely to be needed for gathering the courage to overcome fear, grappling with occult forces of a spell, and resisting tempting corruption. And that's the taint. Tempting corruption of Soul Vale's dark powers. This is a community that has ancient horrors. You could think of them on the scale of Cthulhu, but I think that it makes more sense to think of, say, the possible darker sides of ancient Druidic practice, ancient cultural practice that has been handed down, of the old gods and the old ways, and the sacrificial system continually needed to bring about new harvests, or maybe to get away from the meddlesome evil that is there. The game came into my consciousness because, of course, as you know, being on YouTube, you know that you'll get some suggestions, and you get these suggestions. Now, I must say that I have a subscription to YouTube. So I pay through the nose, and I have YouTube, so I don't have any commercials. So if you are watching with lots of commercials, that's a pain in the ass. But because of the music, I get the music, I get this, and so I'm quite happy because YouTube really is my only medium, that I consume other than Dunghua and Crunchyroll, because I'm that type of crazy person. So, I am going to look this up because I do think that it's important for me to look it up. So I want to just see, subscriptions, here we go. All right, so Actual Play UK. Now, I haven't looked at all of the Actual Play UK stuff. I know that they play a lot of Delta Green. They play D&D 5th for those who enjoy that game, but they have Solemn, Vale. And I encourage you to go to Actual Play UK and watch this playthrough. It was so compelling. I watched that first, and I just was blown away. And I started to follow some of the individuals who were on that to see what they were doing. I like this game so much that I got the PDF. Then I listened to two podcasts by Red Moon Role Playing. And Red Moon Role Playing has some amazing stuff. They're the ones that put me on to Cult. I wasn't really aware of it before, and I think I looked at it and I wasn't too keen on rolling the 2d10s and stuff. I don't know why, but maybe that's because I was still a polyhedral snob at the time and felt that every role-playing game had to involve every polyhedral dice that you could possibly imagine. And if you were playing a d6 dice, you were lazy and dumb. Boy, have I changed my opinion on that. They have a lot of Warhammer fantasy. They have a lot of cult, and that's pretty much where they are. But they do have, and this is, you got to look 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. You can't just look at kind of what they've been doing lately. But they do have two amazing podcasts with, so when I say podcasts, I mean there's no visuals of the individuals playing. So in this case, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to silence it right away. And I'm just going to look at, so the game master is Matthew Dawkins, and he's amazing. He does a great job. And there's Mark and Tracy Norman, known for their folklore podcast. They were excellent in this. Solemn Vale is a dirty Vortex game. I've looked at their website, and it seems as if Solemn Vale really is their main emphasis at this time. They have the weird abacus rules. I believe that they're free on drive-through. They may be pay what you want, but they're Solemn Vale, the book, is giving you the world, the individuals, the character, the denizens of the community. It really fleshes it out, and it's a 347-page tome of wonderful goodness. It's a narrative. Don't be fooled. This is a narrative game. You have roles, you have decisions to make, but this is a narrative game. This is it's perfection. Listen to it first and watch as it and listen to how it unfolds, or watch with UK playthrough, or whatever I said it was called, and Red Moon role playing, which again, that's an audio. Oh, love it. So you get stage cards, and stage cards give you kind of an effect on the table, on the abacus. Okay, so the weird abacus is it's kind of almost like you've got the seance table and you've got the board before you. There's 4 decks. I've printed them out, and these are my backgrounds that I kind of just threw on the backgrounds of these cards. But I printed off all of these cards and sliced them all up because I didn't think that I was going to buy the cards, and then I ended up spending the $6.50 or whatever it was US on the cards, each pack, because they're just so amazing. So these are the denizens. So you have Jane Rhodes, a farmer. And so she has a pursuit of 6, a taint of 6, and a threat of 6. She's keen to show you her trophy room, give you some insights into what country life is like. And the kind of worry that you have is prey on the weak. Whenever a character's weird roll results in a 1 or 2 in Jane's presence, increase her threat challenge by 1, and she forces her intentions on that character. So mechanically what you do is you roll a d6, 1 d6. When you take those 15 points in the beginning of the game, you're going to divide them up between your soul and your mind and your body. So you have that decision. You're going to divide them up into what you think is appropriate. Out of the 15, you could go 5, 5, 5, or whatever. You will have a challenge. In this case, threat of 5. That means that on the d6, you're going to have to roll a 5 or a 6. The only way to increase your chances is to go into, I guess, maybe mind, maybe taint for foreboding, and you can remove dice out of that attribute to use as, okay, I'm going to throw up another point. Not another dice. You're not increasing your dice. You're still rolling 1, 6, but you automatically get 1 additional score. So now you need a 4, 5, 6 to beat the threat. So you could also go and say, I'm putting 3 into this because she's really threatening. And she's got a threatening presence, and I'm really worried about this. And so maybe you're going to put 3 in. Well, that means that you need a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. So that's the way it works. And each individual scene, you're working with these limitations. And you may decide at some point that you have to use a different take a different attribute because you've run out of attributes. And so what might have to happen is you may need to grab a weird point. So essentially the way weird dice move is that you have, if you have 4 players, you have 4 weird dice per scene plus an extra one. You can get to take the weird dice, put it in your weird dice pool, and then you're able to say, okay, well, I'm going to, instead of taint, I'm going to use body for this threat, and maybe do a threatening posture or something like this. So it's a way of mitigating, it's a way of kind of just, giving you extra ability to spend points. But as you increase the weird, you increase a lot of other stuff. So stage cards, just to get back to that, it has a lasting effect. The weird pool spent gives you the other attribute, and all of these challenges are done in its entirety. So a fight is not a long fight or a battle. It's quick and concise. The threat, the brawl, the unknowing of what's in the deep. Okay, this is all done with a dice roll. You're not going back and forth with the fight. A brawl, you either win or you lose. That's it. But you have lots of kind of, you have 50, as I said, 52 denizens. Obstacle den for the buried demon. You couldn't kill it, so they couldn't kill it, so they buried it beneath the biggest stone they could find. Bury it again. Once the buried devil appears in the story, until the end, until the buried devil's obstacle challenge is overcome, it cannot be permanently dealt with. Well, okay, it's pursuing you, and it's an obstacle of 10, so that means that you need at least 4 points spent to give you a 16% chance of rolling that d6 to overcome the obstacle. So, I mean, this is hardcore. That was the Denizens pack. You have the Locations pack, and here, Town Fete. Okay, so the Fate, or the Fete, is pressure 4, wits 4. So it's not overly difficult with the pressure or the wits. All the classics are here. The Coconut Shy, the Old Steam Engine, the Ticket Raffle. Such entertainment. Tawdry Diversions. At the end of the scene set in the Town Fate, characters can increase or decrease their weird pool by 1. And the reason why this happens and why this is beneficial is the weird pool adds up, and there will be a weird roll at the end of a scene, and we will see what happens to you in terms of the threat, the big baddie, as it were, and how you're able to handle the situation. These are challenges, and so a challenge, again, is just as it sounds. Catch them in a lie is this one. It's a wit 6. So if you're trying to catch them in a lie, you're going to have to spend some of those points out of your pools. Is the vicar telling the truth? Does he know more than he's letting on? Again, I love it when designers and writers do not dumb down their products. Obfuscated truths. Obfuscated truths. Doesn't fall out of my my lispy voice. But failing to catch them in a lie, Wit's challenge inflicts 2 points of mind damage to the character with the highest weird in addition to any other consequences. So, there are challenges that you have to face. The last one is encounters, and the encounters are like the Omega influence. Pressure 16th, 6 widths 5. They control everyone and everything, the Omega influence. Soon enough, they'll control you too. Insidious taint. Oh. Failing any of the Omega influences challenges scratches out one character's soul in addition to any other consequences. Now, scratching out really does put you to behind the 8 ball. It's a mechanic that just grabs you and says, okay, you think you're doing well. You're not doing as well as you think, and you are close to falling apart. You may survive the trauma of Solemn Vale and be able to escape. It is done, I would say, episodically. So you have scenes in the episode that may take place over 4 sessions. I think that probably you can draw it out to say maybe 4 sessions, maybe 5 sessions. But it's, and you can play in 1 session if you want. But I say that it's diminishing the whole point of Solemn Vale, which is to interact with the characters, to really truly immerse yourself in this community that is messed up. Your character doesn't know that it's messed up, but you know that it's messed up. So it really does involve role-playing. I find this to be a new fascination that I have with the role-playing genre. I just love this idea of really immersing yourself into a character and into the situation. I think this is why I'm partially interested in Cult, because Cult, Divinity Lost, offers a almost slasher-esque horror, a very dark view as Neo looks out of his pod and sees that the world that he thinks he knows is not real. And so the Matrix is one of those elements in Cult. In this, you're not going into a beyond world. You're not living in a false world. You're living in the world with ancient gods that are particular to this village, this psychic village. There's another game that is similar. I don't know if I have it here. But I may. Yeah, welcome to Grimsbury, which is an English folk horror RPG by Chris Shawdruck. And there's a free player's guide. This is 68 pages and very much a Year Zero engine game. It's fantastic as something to add to your Solemn Vale game. Just touching on Weird Pool, just so that you get that idea. Player can draw for the Weird Pool from the Scene Pool. Okay, so the Scene Pool, and add it to their character's personal pool to add 1 to the result of a challenge roll after the dice has been rolled. You can allow the character to spend points in a different ability than normal on a single challenge roll. Allow the character to spend points on a challenge that they are not present in the scene for. Okay, so kind of from behind the lines, they remember something. Invoke a specific stage rule that requires weird point expenditure, increase or reduce the result of a single weird roll by 1 after the dice have been rolled, and finally, introduce a previously encountered allied or friendly denizen into the scene who would not normally have been present. The identity of the specific denizen is down to the agreement between the player and the narrator based on what would make sense given the narration of the situation. I think that the narrative aspect of this is very cool. I think that it's this self-contained world that is very fleshed out in the book is compelling. And I think that it's something that you would enjoy. I enjoy it, and I can't wait to get my hands on the book. I plan on playing this sooner than later, though I've listened to enough gameplay that I have a good sense. I invested in it. Shortcomings, it's not rigorous in the same way, like mechanically rigorous. You have to make bets and hedging your bets and calculating the risk. There is an element of great risk, and you have to decide, is it worth it for me to take from my body points and those dice to deal with this situation? And that's always the stress. There are other videos, I'm sure, I believe, that are out there that show game mechanics and how exactly to play, but I'm giving my impression, and my impression is exceedingly good. Better than Cult. Cult seems to be much more rigorous. This is truly story horror. It's narrator driven, and the narrator has much more say in it than, say, a lot of other games. This comes out of a world where the imagination is being imposed on you to say, how are you going to deal with this world given these situations? You're free to go anywhere and do anything. Absolutely. This isn't a train track. But there's definitely something going on. And in part, you're trying to figure out what it is. Whether you've broken your car down and passing through the village, or maybe you've stopped for lunch, maybe you're a group of backpackers, maybe you're trying to go to the moors and walk on the moors, maybe you want to investigate the local mine, maybe you have come into the village to think and investigate the the weird circle that has been there for thousands of years, a stone circle, large or small. Maybe, perhaps, you are investigative reporters looking into a story and you have different personalities. There's no archetypes for your character. Your character is a construct of your imagination. It's not, you're not cookie cuttering it in. You come up in, I would imagine, a session 0, or the narrator says, would you like me to help you come up with a concept? But I think anybody can come up with a concept. But you may find that it's much easier for the person to, the narrator, give you a concept and say, here, run with this. So, TV crew, who are you in this TV crew? Or you're doing you're hiking through and you're driving to the location, your car's broken down, you need to go to the garage. Who is who, and what is your past, what's your present? And at the end of it, I think that I had begun to say before that you may die, you may get killed, but you also might be broken. And that's something you decide at the end. How are you broken? Another aspect which I think is important, especially as lines and veils and X cards are much more appropriate in situations, that as opposed to cult, which has schizophrenia listed and a whole bunch of other kind of potential triggers, this, I believe, has less potential for triggers mechanically. You may not like the word taint, you may not like the word moist, but I guess grow up. Taint is a good word for being tainted by the darkness. And so I think that there shouldn't be any triggers from the language used. I just think that's absolutely fantastic in a lot of different ways. So I'm going to let you go. You take care, and I hope that I've convinced you that you should get this. Take care. Bye.